I don't care if this is too personal or not, but a while ago at this point, my mother's pregnancy test came out as positive, and then I was born. I'm gonna be showing you guys my replays against some top ladder players. So I only just recently went from the halfway point of Grand Champion to World Champion, and I'm doing this pretty late in the season, but these replays are from earlier in the season where there was more higher skilled players down below. So our first match was against Anthony, and for these battles, I did speed up the footage just slightly, but not so much to where it's like difficult for you to understand what's happening. So obviously we're using log bait, and the first play we did was Princess at the Bridge, you know, the most infamous one. And here I kind of wait to put my Valkyrie to see if he has hog and he's gonna put it, because then, you know, I can pull the knight away and put Tess at the top. But then I assumed he had some kind of old version of log bait, one that I actually used to use because of the fact that he had fire spirit, knight, and then, you know, cannon, but that was after the fact. So I put it all the way at the top right to try, you know, to make it so he missed his log. But obviously he didn't use log. Then, you know, here I finally realized that it's hog XE NATO. So not the cleanest first defense in the world, but that's just because I didn't expect him just kind of like vomit all of those cards at the bridge. Like it was just real unexpected. So I kind of, you know, had to quick react. And then here I wait a long time before, you know, putting my Goblin Gang, still expecting him to have a log, because again, it's not like these are mid-ladder players, so I assumed he knew the deck that I had and would try to, you know, like predict log on my Goblin Gang to make me overspend on that. And then here he tried to actually predict me, you know, before I go for a Goblin Barrel. However, how he's been playing the whole time, very like brash in a way, I kind of figured that he would try to do something, which is why I waited for the Goblin Barrel. And then after the fact, you know, I Goblin Barrel and we got some chip from that. Then we go E-Spirit in the back and Princess at the Bridge, which is an amazing play if anyone chooses to pick up this deck. E-Spirit in the back and then Princess at the Bridge, but obviously wait till the E-Spirit is a little closer. We're in 2 times, so I kind of had to rush it. But that makes it so if they had some kind of card like, you know, bats or something, they either have to wait or put them down, or even if they have like a firecracker or knight, it kind of prevents them from attacking for like another second, so your princess can get 2 shots. Now here he goes in for a push, you know, typical little defense I chose to do, but then I find out he has lightning. Is this like I swear I just don't know, is this normal or not? And then here I actually fumble. I realized I didn't have my Valkyrie in cycle, and that's because I used it earlier and didn't cycle back to it in time. So that defense was basically like the most choppy thing I think I've ever done in my life. But, you know, it's okay, we're still alive. So then we just throw a Goblin Barrel at the tower to try to keep up the pressure, you know, especially with log bait. Like, that's, you know, the main thing is you're just throwing a bunch of little things at the tower all the time. And then here I kind of assumed he was going to go in for a push, because again, just how he's been playing. I did and didn't expect the lightning at the same time, because I felt like he wouldn't have been able to go in with hog in time if he did go lightning, which I was correct. He didn't have enough elixir for the play, which is, you know, why he did it, you know, after the fact. So he knights on my princess. I ended up putting a second princess down, forcing him to bring out more elixir to get rid of it. And then I Valkyrie on the right to block the Xe, because it seems like he's gonna make a push off of just any card in the world. So I do that to try to prevent that. And then he, as soon as he puts lightning, I know it's time for me to spell cycle. And I also figured that he was gonna put offensive cannon to try to snipe my Goblin Gang wherever I put it. That's why I put Goblin Gang low, so still half of it was alive and was able to help out take the hog. I'm also putting Tesla high so we can't lightning multiple things. And then I fireball, Goblin Barrel, it forces him to put knight and tornado. And then I think he lightnings my tower one more time. You know, I log, I think I fireball one more time. But at this point, it's kind of just obvious that it's a good game. So I'm adding this specific second match in because I think it would be entertaining for you guys to watch, because as you can see, I'm obviously facing E-Golem, and not a single E-Golem shot, not a single guard attack, nothing ended up hitting my tower, you know, like not even any kind of spell like that. So my tower's balls were squeaky clean, did not get tickled once. So here I high Tesla, obviously to pull the E-Golem, but you know, mainly to snipe the wizard, so that's out of the board. And then he ends up E-Goleming again, and now I don't have Valkyrie, so I have to fireball, then I have to Goblin Gang, or else the firecracker would have taken him out. And then I had to time the log perfectly so it hit not only the damn E-Golem teenagers, but then its little children. And then Princess on the right, because I know he doesn't have enough elixir to do anything, so he had to guards late. And then Goblin Barrel as well, because the same thing, he doesn't have enough elixir. And then I Goblin Gang on his guards because I don't want any chip on that tower because that's the side of his tower I'm going on. And I don't want him pushing on my side. And then, like, it's just a back and forth. Here, Princess again. I know he doesn't have very, like, effective ways to take it out. So then, I Valkyrie to the left because he has the firecracker on it. Here, I split lane the pressure immediately and then end up taking the right tower and taking about half of his left tower. So with the mini P.E.K.K.A, it's a pretty simple defense, just kind of goblin gang on it. And then he wizards on the left, evil wizards with the shield. So I end up logging it, but waiting so I can hit his shield as well and knock it off because I knew I was going to evil Valk. And there's nothing monumental that I need to keep the log for. And I try to keep everything high for the most part because I know that he has his evil firecracker and I don't want to put things low. And then now he's like getting these perfect dang angular geometry shots on my thing. And I don't need all that. Come on. Then I Goblin Barrel and Goblin Gang on the left while both the Valkyries are kind of just heading on the right. Because at this point, the game is pretty much over. I'm just throwing cards down. I throw a Princess. I throw a E-Spirit. I but I tell him a good game and a well played and we keep it moving. All right, so next match we're against David Leacha. And as always, in traditional log bait fashion, the first play is always a Princess at the bridge. But David puts an Ice Spirit at the same time and then knights it because David is just some kind of some kind of weird. So then for his knight, I just put a Valkyrie. Again, like I did last time, I waited a little while before I put my Valkyrie. So one, she gets the least amount of damage done to her. And then also kind of just to see what he's going to do, if he's going to do something. I Tesla low just to have the other tower help out. And then I log because I wasn't sure if the firecracker was going to see the Tesla or not. And I didn't want, just like how the firecracker be doing magical amounts of damage. I didn't want her doing the 250 300 damage she does. I end up just gobbling ganging. That's so weird to say, goblin ganging, whatever. He uses earthquake, so I got to keep that in mind for later in the match. And I assume he has log, so that's why I put my Goblin Barrel like that, because I don't know what kind of rework either the Goblin Barrel or the log had, but there used to be a time where you can just put it kind of like outside on the right side of the tower, and if your opponent logged, the goblin that was outside will still go in. But now it doesn't work like that, so that's why you have to put it all the way that I did it. And if they put the log normally, then one of the goblins will still go to the tower and hit it. So now he has to respond to the Princess on the left, so he just ends up knighting on it. And then I split Goblin Gang in the middle, which I end up catching an Ice Spirit that he was going for chip damage. And then I Goblin Barrel, however, I messed up the placement of the Goblin Barrel. I put it too high, so it ended up not getting a shot. And then here he prediction earthquakes my Tesla. Props to him for that, forcing out my evil Valkyrie, which then he lines up his firecracker, his evil firecracker, and gets some chip on my tower. So now I'm down about 500 damage, so I kind of need to, get my damage back. And I end up throwing a Goblin Barrel and fireballing. However, the fireball wasn't really to hit anything specifically. It was more just to kind of get the damage. So then I Tesla high so the earthquake doesn't hit it. I log because I figured he was going to put something in front of the firecracker to protect it from the Tesla. However, either way it died, so it didn't matter as much. So now I use that same firecracker to get king. I throw a Goblin Barrel. It didn't go anywhere. He didn't get any damage from it, but the Electro Spirit hit, which is amazing. So for all of my princesses, he's been throwing knights on top of them, so I protect my princess, forcing out his earthquake on defense. He puts a hog, I put a Tesla high, and he predicts it with the cannon. Now this entire time as this match has been going on, I was actually speaking to somebody, so I told them kind of hold up, because I realized that I'm not locked in, because that is something that typically I'm able to predict pretty easily, especially since I count evolution cycles pretty well. So then here I go for my evolution Goblin Barrel, put the real one on the left, which puts me in the damage lead. I throw a princess down in the middle to snipe his knight. He goes in for the hog. I try to delay my Tesla so the first tick of the earthquake didn't touch it, but it did, sadly. I felt like he was gonna firecracker on my Goblin Gang, chip damage for the tower, so I end up Valkyrieing in front to try to block it. He goes for another hog. I Tesla more to the left this time, and then I fireball. Valkyrie right on top of all of them. I throw a Goblin Barrel to his tower, and then with this, I just about got the Tesla down. And then here he throws a random firecracker at the bridge, which I'm not too sure as to why he did. But then here I just Evo Valkyrie, and I figured he was gonna, log, because now it's a spell cycle game. So I put my E-Spirit low so it can reach the hog without getting murked by the log immediately. He logs, then earthquakes my tower. I try to cycle back to a fireball, but at this point, it doesn't really matter too much. The game is over, and I'm in the damage lead. So it was a good game. Hey guys, so this video is obviously a big difference to what I typically do on this channel. There's usually a lot more editing to make the video almost kind of feel more lively and comedy filled in a way. You know, trying to sprinkle in some excitement, but I'm curious to how you guys feel about this kind of style. Now, obviously this wouldn't be a style that I 100% adopt. There would still be more fun editing and things like that in my videos carrying on. But, you know, if you mess with it, then feel free to let it be known. If you don't, then feel free to still let it be known. But yeah, for you guys that have made it this far in the video, there's a high chance that you're going to be featured in my next video.
What do you mean, Luxtone?
Don't worry, I'll tell you. I want you guys to comment the worst decks imaginable, the worst you can even fathom, and I will try my absolute hardest to win a match with the decks. But as always, stay safe, kids.